Randy in St. Louis.
Johnson's 2-2 pitch. Strike three called on the inside corner, and that's a Redbird winner. Light it up in downtown St. Louis as the Cardinals take game one of the three-game series 7-1 over the Miami Marlins.
That's a good win for the Cardinals tonight, opening up a series against the Marlins. Victorious, 7-1, the final score. Kind of a weird box score because the Cardinals score 7 runs on 8 hits, but go for 2 for 10 with the runners in scoring position. That has a lot to do with the fact that Miami committed 3 errors in this game. Of the 7 runs that the Cardinals score, 5 of them do end up being earned, but that's a good one. You don't take any issue with what the Cardinals did offensively. Andre Palante was really good. This, so often we talk about pitch to contact guys, and well, you know what? When you pitch to contact, sometimes they find their way through. Well, you know what? Sometimes they don't find their way through, and this was one of those nights, and when Palante's on, this is what it looks like. 7 innings, gives up just 1 hit, 4 strikeouts, and 1 walk. For Palante, he worked 5 hitless innings before giving up a single to open up the 6th inning. It matched his longest hitless start to a game. He also, in September of 24 at Cleveland, went 5 hitless before giving up a hit. But that was good. That was really good to see from Palante, as he had a handful of starts in a row, which were not great, and he was able to put it together. Offensively, a bunch of guys that you appreciate the performance. Mason Wynn, 3 for 4, had 2 doubles in this game, drives in 3. You love the fact that Joel Pozo hits the double, takes third on what was ruled a wild pitch, but it was not an automatic take third situation, and then he rumbles home when there's a bad throw over to third base. Good to see Jordan Walker hit the living you-know-what out of a baseball. Just missed a home run by a little bit, but a very, very hard-hit double. He has continued to swing the bat better here recently. Alec Burleson continues to be a very consistent hitter for this team. Hits a home run today, his 14th dinger of the year. He's now tied with Wilson Contreras for number 1 on the list. So as far as the team goes, so that's a good win. That's a good win today for the Cardinals, and we'll see what they can do over the next couple days here before the trade deadline. But this is a team that they still. We heard from Joel Pozo talking with Mike Claiborne after the game, saying that this is a team that's still trying to get into the playoffs, and I don't know what it's going to look like for sure at the deadline. I would think the Cardinals are going to be more in sell mode than anything else, but that doesn't stop the team from still trying to win games and still trying to go on a run. And there's some young guys who are doing some special things this year, and I think every opportunity they get to be more the core of the team, you can see them continue to evolve and mature. So a fun team to watch, fun game to experience tonight. Cardinals get the 7-1 victory. If you want to join us, you can do so by calling or texting 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. You can tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. Or if you are watching us on the video stream, all you got to do is leave a comment in the chat, and we will address those as we go along. One other side note, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in our second segment. It is a sad night for the sport of baseball. Hall of Fame second baseman Ryne Sandberg has passed away at the age of 65. He reportedly was battling cancer, and just a guy who gave his life to the game of baseball. He played his final ever Major League game in St. Louis. His final year, the Cubs played in St. Louis to finish out their season. I remember being a pretty young kid sitting at that game, watching Sandberg play his final game in St. Louis. So I'll spend a little bit of time talking about Sandberg in our second segment of the show. If you've got any comments on him that you do want me to read, feel free to just text those in at 314-436-7900. And I can read those when I talk about that a little bit more in segment number 2. But let's jump to the phone lines, and we'll talk through what happened tonight as the Cardinals get this 7-1 victory. Randy has given us a call. Hey, Randy, you are on the Extra Innings Show.
How you doing, Matt? When do you think we'll get to see Quinn Matthews and the JJ up here? And who's the guy that the last guy the Cardinals brought in tonight? Who they sent down to Memphis?
Yeah, appreciate the phone call. So the move today was Andre Granillo went down, Matt Swanson back up. They talked about this on the broadcast a little bit today, and I think it was a great point by John and Ricky. The Cardinals are in a really, really good spot right now in terms of the kind of that rotational piece of the bullpen coming up from Memphis, no matter if it's Granillo, Graceffo, Swanson, Riley O'Brien was in that role for a while. It feels like he's more secured his spot here at the big league level. But they're getting, a lot of times that you bring that guy up just to have a fresh arm, but more than anything else, that's the mop-up guy. The mop-up guy doesn't exist on this team right now, and they've got a bunch of guys at AAA who you can really trust. You can grab 2, 3, 4 guys out of that Memphis bullpen right now, and you can trust them. As far as the first part of the question, I think there is still a possibility that we see J.J. Weatherholt in the big leagues this year. I don't know if I would put it over 50%. It's probably I could see him getting the Mason Wynn treatment. Win a couple years ago when the Cardinals weren't really playing for much of anything. He got the opportunity to come up and get his feet wet at the big league level and, play out the final few weeks of the season. I could see the Cardinals doing something like that with Weatherholt. I am very convinced that he will be competing for a big league job in spring training next year. So if we do not see him this year, which again, I would probably put that under 50%. If we don't see that, then I would guess that he's going to have every opportunity in the world to make this team next year. As far as Quinn Matthews goes, he's not having an amazing season at Memphis right now. He's 2-4 with a 4.28 ERA. His WHIP is at 1.84. Average against 236. Strikeout numbers are still good, 54 strikeouts and 48 in a third innings, but it doesn't feel like he has completely mastered AAA yet. He's dealt with some injuries and some things this year, and that's okay. He's a young guy who jumped through 4 levels of the system last year. It's okay for him to take a little while longer at a certain level to kind of master it. So I don't have much of an answer on Quinn Matthews. I know the organization still thinks the world of him, but it has been a little bit of a bump in the road this year at Memphis. And I don't say bump in the road in the sense of this is impacting his long-term prospects. Just a bump in the road in the sense that he's not knocking on the door because of what he's doing. And a couple of our viewers mentioned a couple things in terms of that. First off, we have Steven who mentions the fact that he's walking because a batter per game. So Steven mentions the walking almost a batter per game, and the walks numbers are 48 and 48 and a third. So Steven is right on. Curtis mentions the fact that, and we talked about this in our pregame show today, Jeremy says this about Curtis Taylor, we mentioned this in our pregame show today, that Curtis Taylor, who's really having a great season, and we've talked about him a little bit more here recently. I don't know if he's going to get a big league opportunity or not. Not on the 40-man roster. Has never really been considered, a prospect. But Taylor's having one heck of a season at AAA Memphis for sure. Let's grab a couple more messages that are coming in here. Sam says, what an outstanding job by Palante after 2 not very good starts. Hopefully he'll be a little bit more consistent. Yeah, I agree. Great job by him. But I'll always, this is why having pitch to contact guys can be a gamble, because there's going to be days where Palante did exactly what he did tonight, but all of those balls that are hit find their way through, and it looks like he didn't have a very good day. Now, admittedly, a lot of what he had today was soft contact. Sometimes you're comparing the soft contact and the hard contact. It was mostly soft contact today, and that's one of the big keys for Palante. But that's the gamble with pitch to contact guys, is you can have somebody, Palante could do the exact same thing that he did tonight, and the luck could just go in the other direction. But I'm not trying to take anything away from what he did today. It was a really, really good outing for him. Peter said, I was at the Cardinals baseball game tonight. It was my 6th game of the season. I brought home a 4th winner out of the 6 I went to. 4 wins, 2 losses. We will let the authorities know, and they will take care of tickets for you. Not kidding, I'm kidding, but that's a good record, 4-2 on the games that you've gone to this year. Certainly take that. Text message from the 314. Actually, it's Alex who texts this in. He says, should we be worried about Sonny Gray tomorrow after his recent struggles? I think aware, cognizant, on maybe worry is the right word. He talked about it in his post game, his last time out, that there are some things that he's trying to fix that he is taking into the game to see whether or not the fixes work or not. And that's kind of a scary situation for a pitcher, because if it doesn't work, it might go bad. And Sonny talked about the fact that he's one of those pitchers that's not afraid to try stuff in games, and eventually it's going to pay out dividends. And he said, hey, 2-3 weeks down the line, this is really going to pay off. Well, it hasn't been 2-3 weeks. So I guess maybe being aware of that going into tomorrow is something that is that is notable. I think sooner than later, he's going to just be back to Sonny Gray. But being aware of what's going on with him recently, it took the Cardinals scoring a ton of runs the last time out for him to get the win. But I have a lot of faith in Sonny Gray as the top of the rotation pitcher for this team. Ball Game sends in his nightly text when the Cardinals win, giving the tip of the cap and raise of the glass, and he gives it to Palante for firing the scoreless innings in the St. Louis Heat, and then Win for driving in the serious run number 6 to keep us cool with 60-cent drinks tomorrow. Good stuff from Ball Game right there for sure. Teresa sends in a message, says not only good pitching is sweet relief, but the Cardinals played great ball tonight. Absolutely. Carlos sends in a message. He is watching us on YouTube, says, I'm happy about this team, but I'm ready to see some playoff baseball. It's not good to watch playoff baseball without the Cardinals. I agree. I like the playoffs much more with the Cardinals than I do without. I don't know if it's in the cards this year, so to speak, no pun intended, but they're still in it. And even if they trade away some pieces, I think they can kind of remain in it, and we'll see whether or not they've got a run left in them to get there. But it was good to see them come away with a win tonight. 7-1 over the Marlins. Again, if you want to get in here, you can do so by calling or texting 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. Tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air, or you can leave a message on the chat, as so many people have done who are watching us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We'll continue to talk through the game, but also give you my thoughts on Ryne Sandberg. I've got a few kind of just personal anecdotes about him. His path and my path crossed a few times over my personal baseball journey, and certainly not any like breaking news or great stories, but I'll share my experiences with Sandberg a few times he and I have crossed paths, and I'll do that next as we are remembering him today as he has passed away at the age of 65. So we're talking Cardinals baseball, remembering Ryne Sandberg as well. It's all part of the Extra Innings Show right here on KMOX.
Hey, facility managers. At Graybar, we're not just one of the largest distributors of electrical and datacom parts in North America. We're your connection to help make your buildings smarter. We work with best-in-class manufacturers to supply products for wireless, security, renewable energy, lighting, and critical power solutions. And we have a network of integrators nationwide that can help make it work all together. So, the next time you're thinking about making your building smarter, think Graybar, and we'll help you get connected. Visit graybar.com/connectedbuildings to learn more.
There's a big red barn where you save green. Norm's Bargain Barn. On discount windows, doors, and things. Norm's Bargain Barn.
Hi, I'm Norm Wilkie. Come see my new selection of Amish cabinetry made by my good Amish friends at Countrywood Products. We now stock 5 styles of cabinetry for you to choose from.
When you need to save on discount windows, doors, and cabinetry, come to Norm's Bargain Barn. With locations in Shiloh and Fenton at the bottom of Gravois Bluffs. Visit normsbargainbarn.com.
That's normsbargainbarn.com.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we are more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. From startups to established businesses to estate plans, we are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. With offices in Missouri and Illinois, you can conveniently visit us today at sandbergphoenix.com. That's sandbergphoenix.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
You might know Graybar for cable and connectivity, but there's one more thing you should know us for that can help optimize your project's total value, like our comprehensive electronic solutions for security, AV, wireless, and networking, or our specialized job site services, like material staging and kitting, or maybe our logistics specialists who can help you identify efficiencies and ensure just-in-time delivery. So, consider what one more thing you may need to optimize your bottom line and get to know us for that. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Now, back to the Verizon Extra Innings Show.
His first time, and he hits the ball sharply to center field. Backing up is the center fielder, looking up, and it's gone. On DeFreeze's landing again for Alec Burleson. He did that here last night in the 6th inning. 1-0 Cardinals on the 14th home run of the year for Alec Burleson to straightaway center field.
Cardinals get the 7-1 win tonight against the Marlins. Welcome back into the Extra Innings Show here on KMOX. I wanted to just kind of hop on the side road here for a second because baseball today lost one of its greats, and he played for the Cardinals' rival, the Cubs. But Ryan Sandberg passes away today at the age of 65. He had been reportedly battling cancer. And welcome your comments on Sandberg if you'd like to. I just wanted to, we'll get back to the game in a moment or so, but I did want to spend a little bit of time on Sandberg because his history intertwines so much with Cardinals history when you think of him as a member of the Chicago Cubs. So if you've got any thoughts on Sandberg, feel free to just text them in. That's probably the best way on the Sandberg stuff. Text in 314-436-7900, or you can tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. I've gotten a couple things in on Sandberg that we'll read in a moment. So again, I'm not Mike Claiborne when it comes to stories and knowing everybody and everything, but I had a few different Ryan Sandberg things that I thought I would kind of pass along here as we remember him at the age of 65. First off, I remember he played his final game as a big leaguer, and he announced his retirement, and he played it here in St. Louis. And I remember the Cardinals really honoring him that day. I went to that game. I was a kid, but I went to that game, and it really made an impact on me. How the Cardinals honored Sandberg for his career, and rightfully so. And when we talk about St. Louis being this amazing baseball city and the fans being so incredible, it's things like that. And that made an impact on me. It really made an impact of how the Cardinals handled that final weekend for Sandberg and that final day for Sandberg as well. His path and my path converged a little bit because he was managing in the Midwest League. He was managing for Peoria, which is now a Cardinals affiliate, but at the time it was a Cubs affiliate. And when he was managing in Peoria, I was the broadcaster for the Kansas City Royals low A team, the Burlington Bees. And just a couple things. First off, I remember they come into town, into Burlington, and there was something going on that he needed a computer. And he sat down at my computer and started doing stuff. And I walk into the office, and I'm like, why is somebody sitting at my desk and my computer? And then I realized it was. So that was one of my early on in my baseball broadcasting career. I'm just a couple years out of college, and I'm like, man, got a Hall of Famer sitting there at my computer. He was always really good about autographs, and he never turned anybody down. And I remember the thing with him was if you wanted something signed from him, you could go into his office during games when he was a minor league manager and just place whatever you wanted signed on his desk. And when he got in after the game, he would sign stuff. And then when the team would leave and get on their bus and head back to the hotel, you would walk in and there was all that stuff signed. I remember getting a baseball for my dad, and it said Ryan Sandberg, and it had the HOF on there, which was pretty darn cool. My favorite story of what I saw Sandberg do, and I this is one of those things where I hope I tell the story the right way because I'm trying to say this in a fun way, not a bad negative way. In minor league baseball, there was one of those traveling acts. His name was Myron Noodleman. He was the clown prince of baseball. And one of his acts that he would do is he would do dueling signs with the third base coach. So they would have the dueling banjos going over the speaker, and they would go signs back and forth to the banjo music. and they would always choose the manager to come out to the third base box and do that. And we're in Peoria, and this Sandberg was so into baseball, and this is where I want to make sure that when I tell this story, it's a positive story and not doesn't come off as negative. He didn't have any time for this. The craziness, the absurdity of this, he just was not going to participate in this whatsoever. And I remember Myron Noodleman, going up to the team and going up to Sandberg beforehand and just not even considering doing it. So he stayed in the dugout. And our manager was a St. Louisan guy by the name of Brian Rupp was his name. If anybody out there knows Brian Rupp, that's all I say. Hello. I haven't talked to him for years. And it would always have to be our manager going out there because Sandberg was just so into baseball. And it was always funny when that would happen, and I appreciated him for that. So those are my memories of Sandberg more than anything else. Ricky Horton just sent me a text message. I hope he's okay with me reading this. I don't know why he wouldn't be, but he is somebody who he'd be much better. Other than my stupid Myron Noodleman story can certainly be outdone for sure. So, Ricky, I'm about to read your text message. I hope that's okay. You can text me very quickly if you don't want me to do that. But Ricky just texted in, evidently listening as he makes his way home. Says Ryne Sandberg was a tremendous player. Had one of the greatest games I've ever seen against the Cardinals at Wrigley Field when he got home runs off of Bruce Sutter. A great representative of the Chicago Cubs, Major League Baseball, and the Hall of Fame. I'm glad I got the chance to compete against him. That is much better than anything I had to say. So, Ricky, thank you so much for sending me that text and being able to let me say that. Few other text messages that are coming in on our text line at 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. From the 5, Mary Lynn sends in a text and says, my heart is breaking for the loss of Ryne. Rest in peace, a great one. Text message from the 641 said, anytime the Cubs had Sandberg, Grace, and Dawson coming up in the lineup back in the late 1980s, the Cubs always had a chance. You think about those teams because when we think about Cardinals baseball, we think about the power of this radio station, KMOX, and the impact that it had on people. Well, the way KMOX brought Cardinals baseball to people, WGN brought Cubs fans, brought Cubs baseball to people, and TBS brought Braves baseball, right? Like, if you're my age, I'm 42 years old. If I can remember, so my family did not have cable until I was either late, like 7th, 8th grade, or maybe even early high school, somewhere in there. But I would go to my grandparents' house, and they had cable, and I would be flipping through the channels, and there would be a Cubs game on WGN. There would be a Braves game on TBS. And outside of the Cardinals, those were the only games I ever got to saw. And it was always it was cool. It was cool to see games of other teams on TV. I feel like as I talk about this, I feel like I'm 100 years old. I'm not 100 years old. This is what it was like when I was growing up. And yeah, there was just something special about those Cubs teams and those guys, Sandberg, Grace, and Dawson. I feel like baseball's missing it a little bit right now. Some of the characters and the individuals and the notoriety of folks like that. People still know who those people are, and sometimes baseball loses that a little bit. Let's see. We have a text message from the 314. Says, Ryne Sandberg, it was tough seeing him always walk to the plate against the Cardinals, but the best memory of him was seeing him get introduced during the All-Star game in the 80s and knowing he was the double play partner of Ozzie Smith. He was on our team for one night per year. Rest in peace, Rhino. Got a text message from the 618. Somebody who worked over at the Gateway Grizzly said they have a lot of fun, dumb stories about Myron Noodleman as well and all the traveling acts. So good stuff. Good stuff as well. There, yeah, just wanted to spend a little bit of time because, man, Ryne Sandberg's story and the Cardinals intertwine in so many ways. And just 65 years old. Just 65 years old. Yeah, cancer sucks. It really does. And there's stronger words that we can use about it, but I like having my job, so I can't say it. But it really a sad thing that somebody who just dedicated his entire life to baseball. And he, by the way, I mentioned the fact that he was managing Peoria, in Peoria, Illinois. This is a Hall of Famer. This is one of the best to ever do it. And he went to the minor leagues. And he didn't spend much time in Peoria. I think he only spent 1 year there, if I remember correctly. But he got to AAA. He was with, I think, Lehigh Valley in the Phillies system, and he managed AAA for a while. How many Hall of Famers go back and manage in the minor leagues? Like, it doesn't happen. I think people who are listening know that I am a very, very big fan of Oliver Marmol, and I hope he remains the Cardinals manager for a very long time. When the discussions begin about if Marmol was no longer the Cardinals manager, the two names that come up more often than any other name are Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina. Let me tell you something. Those guys aren't going to go spend a bunch of time in the minor leagues as a minor league manager to try to get a big league managerial job. And that's not a shot at them. Most guys wouldn't. Most guys with that resume would not. And Sandberg did. And it says something about him, and it says something about his love for baseball. So, I just this one hit me a little bit today. Generally, I don't know. I wasn't gonna say generally they don't, but just something when I saw the news today, and I was sitting in here down in our downstairs studio, and I heard John Rooney say on the broadcast tonight that he had that Bob Nightingale had reported that Ryan Sandberg had passed away. It just it hit me a little bit. It felt like a punch in the stomach, and I'm really, really sad for baseball. I'm really, really sad for his family. I'm just sad that baseball will no longer benefit from somebody like Ryan Sandberg still being a part of it as he passed away. So I'm trying to figure out a way to change the subject back to the Cardinals. They win tonight by a 7-1 score. As you are listening to the Extra Innings Show right here on KMOX, certainly appreciate you being with us. What's on Deck is presented by Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The sign you have the very best. It is Game 2 of the series coming up tomorrow night. Cardinals are going to send to the mound Sonny Gray, 10-4. He has a 4.33 ERA, 6:45 first pitch. That means our coverage will begin at 5:50. Thanks so much for being tuned in. We'll talk to you again tomorrow here on KMOX.
The following program has been pre-recorded.
Welcome back, guys. DGS and KMOX. Happy Monday to you. I'm on vacation next week, so I'm taking off Friday because I haven't done anything to get ready for it. We're taking the whole family to Florida, so we'll be out next week. The guys will take good care of